Hello and welcome to the Z and Z Show on YouTube. My name is Z.
On YouTube. I'm Liz, but you can call I'm Zed.
No, my actual name is Z. That's the
Oh, is
official
it?
name.
It's your new
Yeah.
name? Okay.
Your name is
Okay.
1000%
Illegally
MakerDeck Logo.
changed. It is. Perfect.
Uh,
That's exactly what I am.
that is.
That is
Of course, I got the
who I
MakerDeck
am.
clock right over here, so I always know what time it is. It's time to
I
make.
have a
That's what time it is.
550% logo right here. But that is something I am working on. 1000% MakerDeck logo.
Ooh,
That's something that
a
I'll
little
talk
sneak
about in a
peek of
couple
what's coming up
minutes.
later. Sure. So, how's everyone doing today? Our topic this evening is going to be 3D printer upgrades part 2, software and firmware. So previously we talked a lot about the different hardware upgrades you can do to your 3D printer. So if you go back one video, you'll be able to see that. And now we're going to talk about something new. And of course Ginger wants to join as soon as I start streaming.
Hi,
Everyone say hello, Ginger.
Everybody say hello to Ginger. There's no cat paw emoji in this
No.
in YouTube, but say hello to Ginger. And hello
Hi.
everyone in chat. I see Duff is here, Mud Wars, who's also Ron's mini RV life. K2 Kevin's here, Gulsifer is here, RC is here, Daddy Wazzy's here. We've got all kinds of John is here, my friend Laura's husband. He wants to learn more about 3D printing all the time. So
Who doesn't?
And Ginger's here.
Ginger's here. Hey, there you go. Get some cats. Oh.
And actually,
favorites.
Krusty just finished doing an Elgu resin printer unboxing on MakerDeck, and I'm wearing my practical printing. See,
MakerDeck on Twitch.
Yeah, MakerDeck on Twitch. So
I like this
and
one.
Sendium is here, and Rob Enk is here, and Major Gamer Geek is here. So we got a crew. So yeah, we have been talking. Oh, Ginger. We have been talking about upgrading your 3D printer. And this is next episode is going to be about tools and add-ons that you can do, physical things like calipers. But this episode we decided we were going to talk about things like firmware and software. So things that will enhance your 3D printing experience. But first, we're going to start out with some of our makes, what we've been making this week. And we do most of our making over on MakerDeck's Twitch channel. So twitch.tv/MakerDeck, which is a 24/7 stream of makers and crafters. And we're on there a lot. So
yes.
What did you make this week? What did you make this week?
So something actually kind of cool. It is your model. I needed to pick I wanted to pick a MMU capable model. Mm-hmm. So this is something that I manually painted in Prusa Slicer. So it's not just a typical color change by layer. So that ended up pretty nice, honestly. It's a 4-color model printed on my MMU printer, which I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, pretty nice. 4 colors. We have Polymaker's dark blue PLA, Filament orange PLA, Polymaker's lime green PLA, and then Filament mystic green. So in person it looks really cool. Yeah.
We're going all out. And what's your other project? What's your other? Is that your...
I have that too.
Okay.
So I'll post a link for that model on printables. You can print it with the nice color swap, just a layered color swap. It works nice. Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, I've got 20. I've got plenty for sure.
Yeah, but I thought it'd be cool to mess around with it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Anyway,
for sure.
My other project, and this is definitely a project, it is printing an IKEA lac table. I can't remember if I talked about this last stream, but I've made progress.
I don't think you did.
I probably didn't. So this is a actual, I'm not gonna call a replica, but it's a Yeah, it's a replica of the IKEA lac table, where you
Mm-hmm.
can slot together the different pieces. These are actually the corner brackets, so there's one additional piece. So 9 of these thick slabs of whatever material you want. My special little thing I was doing was that I just wanted to use up a bunch of spools with just a little bit left on them. And a lot of them I couldn't figure out what to print. Like, what would I print that's that color, etc. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to print my top or my bottom layer, which is going to be visible, with some nice filament. And then I'm just going to color swap to anything else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the result's going to be pretty cool. I'll have a bunch of nice colors and then all of these pieces.
I think they're all pretty much nice colors though, because
They are.
you have
Yeah.
you have good taste in color.
I
Just like
do.
me. We do have
Actually,
good taste in color.
This one just came off the printer. Printing all these off of my Kaiwu, just because I can just send it. It's big enough, and it'll just print regardless of how fast it is. So this one just came off. Nice orange. Is this? Yeah, this is Polymaker's orange. So
Fun.
that's my project for however long it's going to take. It takes like 10 hours to print one of those. It's a lot of filament.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be structural. I've tested it. It's very strong.
So I'm going to throw a whole bunch of things here.
Yes.
So first of all, I am going to talk about my filament of the week first. So of course, this is a giant the spool holder by K2. This is the Polymax PLA, and I'm really enjoying it because I am on a major practical print kick. So I'm going to be sending these off to my parents in Nova Scotia. These are for wire shelves, like wire closet shelves. And since it's done in the Polymax, it's like super duper strong. And we'll link that. These are some hooks, and like they're pretty much indestructible. And the other thing that I printed that was super practical with the Poly Light, this one's empty, so I'll show you the full. I'll put some in there. Of course, it's not a stream if I haven't dropped something. So this time I've dropped some nozzles. This is a nozzle holder. So it's a very practical print. But of course, I also printed it in polyalchemy elixir because that's the kind of girl
Why
I
not?
am. But there's some nozzle holders. Those are by K2. Actually, I was going through finding practical things, and what else did I do? Oh, I did another practical thing. For these streams, I need an iPad stand because I have my iPad with the notes, so I stopped looking up all the time. And so this, I actually use the Prusa Slicer feature where you add text. And so I put my name there. I put Pezlas there.
Nice.
And this is a nice thick iPad stand. So I'm actually using another one that I thought I had given as a gift, but I hadn't. And this one's in Nebula, Protopasta Nebula. But anyway, so I did this. And I have one more make because I like to feature makers of MakerDeck. And this is something that Fat Boy is working on for his daughter's birthday party, which is like little star ones. I thought they were cute, and they can go in your hair too. So anyway, I had fun with that. All right.
Awesome.
And so what are you working on?
We need to stream just
What
like
aren't you working on?
What is my list of projects?
Okay,
Too many things.
One thing.
Yeah, one thing.
Sorry, not two.
Yeah.
One.
In relationship to this model, I have been working on kind of fine-tuning my Enraged Rabbit carrot feeder. So it's an MMU that you can print all the pieces for, and you buy a kit. And you assemble it. You can choose how many different colors you want. It's expandable technically infinitely, but they have kits of like, let's see, 6, 9, and 12, I believe. Yeah, that makes sense. So I'll link that here if you want to take a look. And it works with Clipper. And just getting that calibrated, getting all the stuff set up correctly, it can be a pain. And my most recent addition was adding the correct kind of adapter for my extruder so that the PTFE tube directly slots in and the filament feeds cleanly. Previously, it was getting stuck right before it hit the extruder gears. So,
Okay.
yeah, so for this one right here, I think I had 0 manual interventions where the filament wasn't feeding in. I'm still working on getting the filament like feeding into the MMU system set up right. Eventually I'll have it all mounted to the wall. I have these nice rep winders that work fairly well once you get them all calibrated. So it's a huge process of calibrating and setting up, and I'm at the point where I can feel more confident when I'm printing MMU, and that's always a good thing. So
Well,
what are you working on?
what am I working on? Well, definitely I am working on, this is actually a MakerDeck Mom project. So we will put links to Mom. If you are already a MakerDeck maker, you can join the MakerDeck Opportunities for Makers program, which is a way for us to give you the opportunity to work on different projects and have the resources for those projects. So one of our supporters of Mom is Polymaker. We have a Polymaker giveaway in chat too. And Polymaker is offering at least one spool. We're hoping like one spool of filament per idea per project. And so one of these projects that's up and coming is, of course, MakerDeck is going to be celebrating a 1-year anniversary in April. So by April, I hope to have, I'm also working with K2 Kevin, who designed the upsize and also put the slices and everything for the MakerDeck 3D printed logo. We're doing 1000% MakerDeck logo. So these are some pieces that didn't actually, they're not going to quite pass muster from the first experiment, but as you can see, these are, huge pieces. The
Big.
logo is going to be, it's
That's like a kitchen table. Oh my god.
Yeah, like this is, so, well, this is like, there's
That's a
one
good
more
idea.
slice for
Like a MakerDeck table and cover the top in resin.
Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
Resin is toxic.
Resin is not toxic. 3D printing resin is toxic.
So that's the big project, and there's I'm going to talk about MakerDeck projects too. So we are reopening submissions for people to join. First of all, join Mom. So we will put links in chat, but also if you're on MakerDeck on Twitch, you can do !Mom program and fill out the application. If you're already part of the Mom program, if you're already a maker and you're already part of the Mom program, then the Polymaker project, that's pinned, and we'll also be sharing it again to remind people. And what we want you to do is pick a project, something that you could create with a full spool of filament, pretty much. And so you would be working on this on MakerDeck over the next month, 6 weeks, depending on what your project is. So
if you want to print out parts for like a Rook printer, which is fully printed, that's a good use of filament.
We've had people that have done planters. Yak Drudge is working on a puddle jumper, which is like this big ship. What else have we had? We had someone that tested out a bunch of prototypes of models that they were working on, and then they decided to build their own parts of a rep rack, but like they modified it. We have had, what else is going on? The giant MakerDeck logo. Oh, Pink did. She got co-extrusion filament, and she did every flexi that she had access to through printables. So that's one thing that we're working on with MakerDeck. Another thing we're doing is expanding on our coffee talk. So coffee talk has been in the past, people like you and me, people who are minding the studio, opening up the conversation. We've now changed it to sort of be a focus topic when you and I or anyone else that's in the studio, when we hop in, we usually have a very focused topic. But now we're adding people. So the first coffee talk that we did with a guest was Daddy Wazzy. And this week we're going to have at least one guest, possibly more. And our guest on Wednesday is going to be Grant of 3D Musketeers. So, and if you want to be involved in, RC Maniac, you weren't part of Coffee Talk, you were part of a Z and Z. So, but we're trying to see, there's a couple goals with that. One is, if it's something that you think you might be interested in, getting involved in MakerDeck programming, have your voice on MakerDeck, or even your face here on YouTube. This is a good way to see if you're actually comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And to see what your chemistry is like with both the audience and with, a co-host, for example. So and we want people to start with something that's not quite inconsequential, but Coffee Talk is a half hour, 45 minutes. Probably for Grant, it'll be an hour, where you talk about a topic or get introduced to a maker. So that's something that I guess I would say that's something I've been working on. And yeah, so we've got Mom, we've got Coffee Talk, we've got general programming, and also preparing for the MakerDeck 1-year anniversary. So if there's anyone that has something interesting that they might like to contribute to the 1-year anniversary, or any ideas for that, certainly get in touch or mention it in chat, put it in the comments on this YouTube video. We're interested in seeing how you feel MakerDeck might have changed over the last. What is MakerDeck?
What is MakerDeck?
What is MakerDeck? MakerDeck is definitely volunteers too, and that's another thing that's going to be coming out soon, is like a formal volunteer form, so you know exactly where we need help and how you might be able to help. So
awesome. Yeah. So let's move on to the filament of the week. So what is your filament of the week? Wow, this is a very
I already mentioned it. Yes. Okay. Yes. But I am very much into this Polymax PLA, and the only color I have it in is white. So
yeah.
I'm interested. Is the magenta the really cool one in Polymax? I'm trying to remember. I don't know. Anyway,
I like the blue in general, but yeah, the magenta is like very magenta. I think it's called pink. They're called pink or magenta. It says pink, but it's magenta.
Yeah, that's the magenta one. Yeah. It's
yeah.
Like very bright bubblegum.
It's fun because a lot of people use these for stuff like drones or robots or stuff that needs a bit of extra durability. So I don't know. I got to figure out what to do with this, but maybe a drone. It's not a bad color. Did I look that in chat?
Yes. Yeah. Someone likes the spool holder that I have, so I will share it here.
It's a nice one.
Yeah. This is one that actually Zombie asked K2 to design, so it's very fun. And I actually 3D printed the conduit for it too. Bob just asked in chat. He goes, "It's been a year. You don't know what MakerDeck is yet? It's ever evolving. It's
changed a lot since I joined."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that we'll have everybody define. And stay tuned for April 14th and 15th. I think we're going to have a lot of broadcasts, a lot of people talking about what they feel MakerDeck is and what it's, how it's affected them this year. So I think that's, the impact of MakerDeck in all different ways. So now that we finished with the filament, we are going to talk about the actual topic of this evening, which is one way that you can improve your 3D printing experience or upgrade your 3D printing experience. And that is with the management of your firmware, your software, managing how your printer functions in that way. So I guess the first thing I would say, because I'm not going to be talking a whole. This is not something I have a lot of experience with, just because of my needs and my comfort level. But I'm definitely interested in at least Octoprint, and everybody wants me to try Clipper, so we'll get to that. But I would say one of the most important things is to keep your printer's firmware updated. changes are made for all different reasons, but it can certainly enhance the features. And I'm actually trying to upgrade my firmware for my Mark III. We're having some issues with, might be, anyway, long story short, keep it updated as much as you
Yep.
can, flash your firmware, and I think the experience ends up being
Or
more.
new safety features might come out, like
Yes.
Prusa redeveloped a thermal runaway system. So stuff like that. It's not always just bling. It is stuff potentially behind the scenes, or even stuff to help improve your print quality. So it's worth
Mhm.
looking into. In general, if it works, you don't necessarily need to upgrade your firmware, but a lot of printers do ship with interesting choices in firmware. I'll say that. So maybe it would have been acceptable 5 or 6 years ago, but
Mhm.
now we have stuff like Marlin 2 with many, many, many more features. So just look at the options for upgrading your firmware.
Yes. And I guess another thing that is a definite enhancer of your experience is slicing your models properly. And there's all different types of software for that. But for example, if you're using something like Prusa Slicer, you can choose your filament, all your the temperatures related to the filament, if the filament is part of your slicer, your speeds. What else, Austin? What else would you have in your slicer? Everything that can
Everything,
be
everything.
customized for your
You're
printer.
you're an operator operating a
Yeah.
CNC machine, whether you think of it that way or not. You have to tell the machine what to do. Luckily, there are a lot of profiles developed for the
Hmm.
specific machine. They might not always be the best for your specific application, but you have to tell it what to do. So it's important to get an understanding of just an overview of what everything does and what you might want to adjust
Hmm.
on for different prints.
Yeah, and people use different slicers. Some people like to. You were, I think you use like every slicer possible, but you like to experiment.
Yeah,
Before I
I've
even
used a
started,
few.
yeah, before I even started 3D printing, I had both Cura and Prusa Slicer downloaded with the profile. My first printer was the Focus, and since then I've actually been given an even better profile. And so when we're talking about profiles, that's actually something that's important. I wouldn't recommend paying for one. There's enough people in the community that are able to share profiles for printers like the Focus that don't have profiles in the regular slicers, but also within your slicer, depending on your printer or whatever, the profiles are there too.
One of the profiles that I got started with, almost a year ago now, is CHEP's profiles
Hmm.
for Ender 3, but they could be translated for other similar printers. That was pretty helpful, and
Hmm.
he changed a bit how it works, but they're still pretty similar. So
Yeah.
yeah, I recommend trying out the major ones like Prusa Slicer, Cura, even Idea Maker, etc., and set up your printer in every single slicer, because
Yes.
there's some stuff you might want to do in one slicer that works better. Every slicer has their own slicing engine, so
Hmm.
how it takes a model and turns it into a sliced model, a layer by layer model. That's why it's called slicing, because it slices it up.
Yeah, and especially if you design models, it's always good to see how your model slices in different slicers because
Yeah,
you,
features
you
might not print on some, but they might print in others with the default
yeah,
settings.
absolutely. Yeah, so
Looks like
like
RC
he's
Maniac
saying,
says, yeah, I tend to use the default profiles in Prusa Slicer and do minor adjustments.
yeah.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, default
Mhm.
profiles are
And
usually
also,
pretty decent.
yeah, once you get to know your printer too. Like for example, on my old Focus, the bed was always way too hot. So I had to, yeah, in the slicer and go in and really tune it in. And you can get, using the slicer properly, you can get some really nice clean prints. And or if you're just doing a draft, If you're just trying something out to see how it's going to, the size or whatever, then use all those different
Good point.
settings.
It's worth
And
having at least like 3 major profiles if you can help it. One of them for like standard printing. For me, that I use a zero point 0.4 nozzle. That's 0.2 layer heights, and that's what I print most stuff in. But I have some profiles for draft printing, for very fast printing. So it increases the speeds, increases the layer height. I'm not looking for great quality, but I'm just looking for a print. And on the flip side, I like to have kind of a fine profile for really detailed models. I'll usually adjust stuff on a per model basis, but it's kind of good to have each one of those and have each calibrated and optimized for your printer.
yeah, and for supports too,
And supports.
support enforcers, and of
Yeah.
course like the different features, like I said, with like the new thing in Imprusa Slicer where you add the text, because that's pretty fun.
Mhm.
There's all sorts of neat things depending on what slicer you're using.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so like we said, don't assume that like just because it says this setting is for this printer, it's not always ideal. You pay attention to your printer, how it works, and also always sort of look around on like the discords and the Facebook groups and stuff. There's always something, and always a profile that could work better for you. So that's one thing to do. The next thing that we have on our list is a camera. And a camera can certainly enhance your experience with your 3D printer. Of course, one way that you can enhance with a camera is to stream on MakerDeck. So
Really?
that is one thing that you can do. And with that, you do get complimentary monitoring too. But a lot of people will use a camera, whether it's a webcam or a beacon or something connected to other software.
A camera with a tripod. Just plug into your
to keep an
computer
eye.
or your controller or whatever, and even if you don't have it plugged into necessarily your printer, just having a camera that you can set up a program and remotely access is a lot nicer than not being able to see your printer. A general rule of thumb is you don't want to ever leave your printer printing, regardless of how well you think it's going to print. It will fail as soon as you walk away. Just keep that in mind. It will fail every single time.
And I should add smart plug to this too.
Yeah.
Because the day I was officially moving into this apartment, I started a print and I left. And all of a sudden I'm like halfway to meet the moving truck and move my stuff. And I get a message from Glendon saying, "Liz, you've got a problem with your print." And he kindly took me off MakerDeck. But when I got back here, I had a blob of death. Like you would not believe. I actually saved the blob of death. It's back there in a box. Anyway, maybe I'll show
Like
it at
a
the
filament that looks like this giant blob. Nasty.
It was gorgeous. But yes, it was definitely a glob of death. And so a smart plug. I already had the camera set up and someone to monitor it or something to monitor it, but I didn't have the smart plug to turn off the printer, and that would have saved me so much grief. So
if you can't do full management remotely, just a smart plug is a good investment, because a lot of them too, whether you like this or not, a lot of them are cloud connected, so you don't have to be in your house to activate them. And that's a good thing for something like a 3D printer where you might not be at home when there's an issue.
Yeah. Oh, and I should mention streaming onto MakerDeck is really easy. Very nicely, Nerdy J talked about using the bamboo to stream into MakerDeck in his last video. So we will link that video. But also Kevin in chat, he's saying, and it's true, I'm using my old iPhone 10 and that's all to stream into MakerDeck. I use my iPhone 7, which is connected through Reincubate Camo to stream onto MakerDeck. But it's very easy to stream onto MakerDeck, and we're always there to help. But one way that you can use your camera is with software and also hardware. So something like a Raspberry Pi or a computer can give you the ability to run programs that we're going to talk about, like Octoprint or Clipper. So if you have those devices, I actually see now there's some videos where people are using like old Android devices and things like that, and they're able to use those as the computers to run things like Octoprint. But I would like you to talk about Clipper, because I will say none of us are experts here. I am certainly not an expert, and I'm definitely not an expert in Clipper. So,
And there's some stuff I'm just learning now that it's in Clipper. Like, I wish I would have known that a while ago. That
so I'm going to mute myself and get my glob of death and let you talk about Clipper.
Sure. The first thing I have on here is actually the controller or the controller board. So you don't necessarily have to upgrade your board, but in some cases it can give you extra features that would be able to be utilized in your firmware. So simple things like extra fan headers, so you can turn off your hot end fan. Does your hot end fan always run? Is it loud? What if I told you that with potentially an upgraded board with more fan headers, you could control that and have it only turn on when the hot end is heating up? So stuff like that, it could be a reason, more quality of life than anything, that you might want to replace your controller. Or if you have an older board that has the louder what brand? Like the non-silent steppers. So if you have a loud stepper board, that could be a major benefit of just upgrading to quieter stepper drivers. Yeah, 8-bit boards. Well, yeah, 8-bit boards or other boards that utilize a loud driver. Mm-hmm. And I guess in some cases those can affect print quality. So keep that in mind, that you don't have to upgrade your controller, but you can, and it might work well for you. There are some now, like Big Tree Tech's Manta boards, that have a option to put in a computer. So they have their own Raspberry Pi form factor compute module that you can have a nice all-in-one little system where your Raspberry Pi is just integrated right into the board. Or you can use an official Raspberry Pi, I think a CM4. So those are options that you could look into if you're trying to replace your controller or want to get extra features. Yeah, the A4988 drivers are loud. Mm-hmm. They're very loud. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay. No, I was gonna ask you. So Clipper, I'm seeing here. It's there's two parts. There's the firmware, and then the
right. So you have printer. So Clipper.
Yeah.
Clipper is talked about a lot in the community because it's kind of, to be honest, it is a bit of a enthusiast / hobby grade firmware where if you do a lot of tinkering, you're probably going to look at Clipper because of how easy it is to make changes in the firmware. For example, if you wanted to change, let's just say your max fan speed for your tool head or something like that. Maybe you want to just set a static max fan speed. You never want to go over that amount. So you have a really loud fan. You don't want to adjust it in the slicer. You can do that like in 2 seconds in Clipper. But in Marlin, you have to go in, you have to find where it is in the code. You have to recompile your firmware, reflash your firmware. If you made any adjustments like PID tuning, that doesn't save as far as I'm aware. So you have to go through the whole setup process. It's not enjoyable to continuously have to flash your firmware with Marlin. Marlin works great. It's an awesome firmware. I run it for many prints on different printers, and it works fine. But for enthusiasts tinkering and stuff like that, Clipper is just great for tuning and adjustments. So getting the most out of your printer. That's where I kind of lean towards it. So it's two parts. Part one is your firmware. which actually goes onto your controller board. And why I was saying that you might want to upgrade your controller to have extra
All right.
usability. But the second part is the computer that actually runs everything. It runs the show. So pretty much any computer running Linux can run Clipper. So commonly Raspberry Pi, that's the single most common computer. You have your Raspberry Pi, you plug it into your printer, and you can use that. Or there's setups where I think like Android TV boxes, those can run Clipper,
Yeah, there's a
or
bunch of things now.
laptops. A lot of people have an old laptop just lying around, which has a built-in UPS, which is quite nice. You can just install a version of Linux on there with Clipper. And it sounds complicated, but it really isn't. To be completely honest, you can get up and running in less than 10 minutes. It's a very quick process. Now, getting calibrated, getting tuned, that takes a lot longer. But
All right.
yeah, so that's Clipper in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it. It's a lot more in depth, but you just need an external computer. You can't just run Clipper standalone on any printer. You need something to run it. So similar how Octoprint works, you have to have a external device to run Octoprint. There is a situation where you can take your cell phone and use that to run Octoprint, like an old cell phone. That does work. That's how I actually got into Octoprint. I was using an old phone, and which has a camera too, which was pretty cool. So you can start with Octoprint, try that out.
Yeah, yeah. And I was given this explanation. I did ask some questions about Octoprint today. So yes, it's like a computer that stores all your files and acts as a remote management and monitoring device for your printer. So it also does the printing. So it replaces the need for something like an SD card, and it plugs into your printer's USB port. It's very easy to install. You use things like Raspberry Pi Imager. See, there's all my there's my expertise. I'm definitely interested in Octoprint. I have tried the Fiberpunk node. It didn't do I had already been spoiled by people showing me what Octoprint can do, and I'm sure if once I see what Clipper can do, it'll be something that I want to try too. But I saw the way that Octoprint can show you your bed mesh.
Yeah, Octoprint
you can send prints, and there's even add-ins where you can, depending on your printer, of course, you can, if you have a full bed, you can exclude parts from printing mid print and stuff like that. And I think those are the types of features that I would really like as someone who just turns around and like, I grab the memory card and I find that like I'm now used to it, but it's tedious. It's tedious. It is like pulling the memory card out, and then I have to remember to wipe the memory card too because I've sliced too many things and left them on there. And I also have I have the Focus printer, which uses the SD cards, the micro SD cards.
Yeah, most printers do. It's a nightmare.
Don't like that. I don't know what I can do with the Focus, but definitely with the Prusa, I would eventually like to have Octoprint because the ability to just be at my desk and do that and not have to worry about the SD cards and everything, that would be really convenient. And then I've seen so many features that I would be interested in, and yeah, I'll take the time and look into Clipper too. I know there's a lot of people that love it when amateurs tinker. So
yeah, it's all about what you want to get out of your printer and who you are as a person. If you like tinkering, then you can go with something like Clipper. If you just want the remote management functionality, or one of my favorites, sending your print from the slicer directly to the printer and then not having to do anything. I can be in Prusa Slicer, in Kira, hit print, and then it starts printing without having to do anything, without having to go to the printer, without even having to log on to the web application. So So what I usually recommend is if you're unsure of if you want to kind of go down the clipper route, you can use Octoprint.
Octoprint is free.
It's
is
free.
Clipper
Yep.
free? Okay.
Yes.
We
Yeah,
like
you just
free.
need. Yeah, yes. This is all free and
free.
I believe open source or mostly open sourced. But Octoprint uses the same hardware that Clipper does. You know, like a Raspberry Pi for the most part. So if you're getting a Pi or if you're getting a computer to run Octoprint, you can just test it out, see if you like it. There's a ton of plugins, so you can mess around with stuff. In chat, someone mentioned Octolapse. Octolapse is the coolest time-lapse functionality like ever. It'll move your print head to the same spot every time after a layer or whatever increment and move it back. So it shifts around the tool head. So when you do a time lapse, it looks like the tool head is just moving slowly up, but the print is going. It's very cool. So something like that is available stock in Octoprint. I think maybe a plugin.
Did you know the plugin where you can exclude where you've had a mistake
region
on your it's done by Paul. Paul.
Really?
He's one of the people that developed that that plugin.
That's like
so
the coolest
Paul,
thing ever.
Paul, who's been on MakerDeck. Paul, who's from Maryland. Well, yeah, he lives near Maryland, right? Yeah. Anyway, he's on our Friday Night Calls. Yeah.
Wow.
He's one of the people I saw a Grant tag him on Twitter. And I was like, what? I didn't know that. So we've got multi-talented people. Yeah, but also like extremely talented people in this community.
Oh, cancel object.
Cancel object.
Well, similar thing.
Cancel object. Okay.
I think of it all as the same thing.
Thank you,
you can go into your management software, web interface, and you can select one of the parts of your print. If you're printing like, let's say, 64 K2 clips, and one of them fails, you can just say, "Don't print that one," and then the rest will continue to print. Right now, I'm actually kind of struggling because I don't think Bamboo Studio has that functionality built in.
Yes, and we've actually seen some prints on MakerDeck where they've been very lucky at the placement of them, but a lot of people, I'll see them sort of test out. They'll test out different areas of their bed and everything. I know that Ernie, who's doing tons and tons and tons of prints on his Bamboo, he makes sure the filament works. He prints a test model first. To make sure, because he does not want, when he's doing massive amounts, he's doing a whole sheet of the Jeeps or whatever, he wants to make sure they work out well. But yeah, I think that's something that might be missing from Bamboo.
Yeah, because right now I'm printing off a plate or a Voron 2.4's worth of parts, and it's a lot of little parts like these types of things. And if one fails, it might not do anything, it might just have some spaghetti in one section, but it could also get dragged around and then cause a massive print failure. So not having that ability to just cancel your object, it can cause a blob of death. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
Isn't that a gorgeous one though?
It is very nice.
That's the Sparta Purple Nebula. It's beautiful. I kept it because I think he should be named. He kind of looks like Admiral Akbar melted or on drugs,
That's
so
funny.
There's the two eyes, but yeah.
That is beautiful.
Poor blob of death caused problem.
You should model a stand for it, like a custom stand that slots into perfectly.
How about I'll just put it on this.
There you go. That works too.
There's the Sparta burnt titanium and then the Sparta purple nebula. There you go. I couldn't believe it. I actually thought it was quite beautiful, the colors that come out of that purple nebula. So
It's actually funny. Side topic. The fact that it printed like that, you don't 3D print like in blobs. So the fact that you're able to get the geometries like that's not something you 3D print.
So shiny, yeah, of course. And it probably got very hot,
It's like extruding like a tube of frosting. Right? You can't do that with 3D printing. Maybe we should have that like a custom blob maker. Actually, you could probably program something like that in G-code.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a blob or we'll have a
blob contest.
Please don't do it on purpose though, unless it's like Well, we do have some
Not
sort
sound
of a
fun.
blob. We do have Krusty's Pet Rock.
Ah, yes, I have
So
one of those.
you,
I have a big
which
one.
mine has K2 clips inside it.
I'm gonna throw this outside in the spring. It's gonna go in the garden. It's very cute.
Oh, speaking of garden, I was
It's almost
told to
garden
up
season.
my mic. My mic is a little bit low, so is my mic better now, everybody? We'll see. Yes, I still have Wexter's Demogorgon in the garden at the old place. So I need to grab that.
Yeah, once the snow clears.
This doesn't have googly eyes, it has creepy eyes. I put eyelashes on it too. So
I'm gonna get googly eyes. I need to buy them because there's so many things that I just need to put googly eyes on.
well, and you have a kid, and I actually have a friend who
Yeah, it's
only
fun.
got he was separated or divorced, and he only got to see his daughter on weekends. But one of the weekend projects they would do is go put googly eyes on inanimate objects.
That's
in public.
fun. There's something I was gonna put it on. I don't remember. I think it was like a tool head or something. Yeah, it was definitely like
everything's googly eyes.
Yeah, it was one of the rookery tool heads for the Rook printer. You put like two little googly eyes in there, and it kind of looks like a big mouth with the fan.
Yeah. So, wow, we've actually talked about everything.
Yeah,
we
that's
thought
it.
we have okay.
That's all, folks.
Next, we can add a couple things in here.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
But next week we are going to be talking about tools, accessories, and printed parts, which can enhance your 3D printing experience. So that includes things like I said, like calipers, and there's all sorts of different things.
So many tools.
Cutters.
So many tools.
Yeah. Fan rakes. Spoiler alert. You know, all sorts of things that you can have. And how to store them. How to store them.
Tools. So lots of this next week. Sneak peek.
Yeah. Sneak peek, guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Only here live.
How to store them. Like, how many containers can I print? I think that's what is MakerDeck? How many containers can Liz print?
Too many.
Because of my blob of death. That's what I wanted to talk about. Because of my blob of death, I ended up losing a part of my printer. So this is actually printed in Poly Light PLA Pro. I don't know, is that a thing?
Yeah.
So I had to print a new fan mount something. Anyway, so I have a few of them printed.
Maybe.
Fan duct, thing. Yeah, exactly. So I do have the technical name somewhere. Anyway, these are just in PLA. I'm supposed to be at some point. I'll be getting one done in ABS. So the nice thing about the Prusa is that most of those parts are reprintable. So, but I did have to take parts.
Do you have any ABS at all?
I do not. So maybe that'll be an adventure for me at some point.
I might recommend picking up a spool of something like ASA.
Mm-hmm.
So like, Sparta does have their Galaxy. So if you do pick something up, ASA you can print it open air. You can print it on your Prusa without needing to enclose it.
Okay.
With certain, a little more finicky requirements, but you can certainly do that. And a lot of people print entire Vorons on open air, like Enders.
Okay.
So if you're looking to do small parts, that's very easy. Very easy to do, especially if you use a brim. Perfect. So next time you're looking for filament, you should get maybe even black, just like a boring color.
All right. So we do have a giveaway, which is a spool of Polymaker filament. It's a global giveaway. So if you're anywhere in the world, if you're in North America, you'll receive a voucher to purchase for free and get free shipping on a spool of filament, a voucher for $35. If you're anywhere else in the world, then we'll have you pick some filament and get it sent out to you thanks to Polymaker. So while Austin's getting that set up, I will let you know there's a couple contests going on. If anyone wants to clue me in on, I need to find out some more information on how contests work on places like Thangs. I know that some of it is based on model designs and how many their popularity. I'm more familiar with printables, and I think some of the latest stuff on printables is really fun. They've just done their just completed the tray, of course, the tray contest, and
Nice.
yes, Austin did one, Pink did one, a few people did them. Oh, there's
Yep, I
Pink.
do. I printed pinks. Yep.
Yeah, I have yours somewhere, but not right here. I thought it was right here. But
I
it's
got
not.
a couple around.
And right now they're doing a chopstick stand. So this one is called what is it called? K2 Clipstick Hidden Dragon. So this I had to do in my favorite filament, the Polyalchemy Elixir Aquamarine. So it serves as a stand for your chopsticks. You could actually hold your chopsticks in it too if you want. And of course, there's a hidden dragon.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty cool.
The dragon has a K2 clip tail, which is it's kind of fun.
It's cute.
I saw on MakerDeck, Fix'em Dude was printing one, which Krusty apparently designed, which looks like a bridge, because the word, I think it's called, I can't remember. I'm gonna say Toki Doki. No, that means just okay. Whatever it is. Anyway, the Japanese word for the chopstick stand means bridge. So Krusty's designed a bridge, but there's some really cool ones in there where people have done all sorts of fun things, and it's a great way to get your brain going, thinking of new designs and new challenges. The other thing they have on printables right now is a longer term contest, and it's to design something that flies.
Yeah, that seems pretty fun.
Yeah, so you could do something that has electronics involved, or you can hashioki. There we go, hashioki. Thank you, Kevin.
Okie
So hashioki, okie dokie. I am working on something for that contest.
Awesome.
I keep on scrapping it. I'm turning into a perfectionist. No, I don't want to just like throw something up there that
right. Yeah, you should have like some standards, but it's a lot of fun to do those printables contests. A lot of them are simple. You can go very involved, and a lot of the winners ends up being something pretty involved. Like the last tray holder, I think some of the winners, like the interlocking ones with like a ton of pieces, like that took a lot of time to design and test. But if you make something simple that's functional, I wouldn't say Swatch Truck is a simple thing, but it is in general. It's a simple design.
And if you want to design something and you want it tested out, come to MakerDeck.
Yeah. Anyone want to test this model?
We have dozens of people that are more than willing to test out your models. They can do it on MakerDeck, or they can. Some of these people have like 20 bazillion printers. So some of them have 20 bazillion printers and they all work. Austin.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But
I have
a lot of people are more than willing to.
Right now?
I have two working.
My big printer just
willing to,
died today.
People are more than willing to test things out for you and also give you feedback. Like right now, for example, Bugman is working on something for spring, and I've been giving him a lot of feedback because it's something that I feel very comfortable with.
It's very valuable to get user feedback before you release a model. Do not just rush and release stuff unless there's a time limit. But if you're just making a model and want to release it, it is worth having at least one person look at it, make sure it's printable, etc. It's always a good idea. Feedback.
Yes, yeah. Feedback can also be slightly destructive to your creative process, depending on who it is.
That's true.
Fix'em Dude and I both know about feedback. I have given, because of my experience with that, I'm always very careful with how I give feedback. Austin is very good at giving feedback. He gives a lot of feedback. He gives feedback after something's already finished. Oh, this is Krusty's design. He just sent it to me. So, and Fix'em Dude printed it earlier on MakerDeck. As I said, actually, you want to make sure that when you enter something in a contest, you don't just share the render. You do want to have it printed out.
Yeah,
that's the other part.
Print your models.
Print the models. For me, I don't really want to print something if it's that was a sneak peek, but I don't want to print something if it's just a render. That's my honest truth. And also, I really like it when the person who's created them. I know it's like a lot especially since you're giving it away for, like, on printables, you're sharing it for free. You're not asking for anything other than, maybe people can give you a like, share the make, and give you some, proofsometers or whatever. But in general, just take some care in sharing those sorts of things. And also, when you've made something like this, take a few minutes, take a cute little picture or whatever, and rate it. And also, for anyone that's your friend, go through their profile on printables, like, collect, put things in collections, and download their models. It's just a nice thing to do.
Make sure to like this video. This is a YouTube video, so like, subscribe, ring that bell if you want to see when we go live in the future. We do these live streams every Monday at the same time, and there might be more content in the future. There will be more content in the future, but who knows what it's going to be. So make sure to sign up for notifications. And I'm going to say this because we have a few more minutes left. Make sure, if you're watching this live, to fill out the Polymaker giveaway. I'm closing it in 2 minutes, and we'll do the draw.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. That's all you have.
Yeah, so do people in live
questions?
Chat right now? Yeah. Yeah, so hey, actually, one thing that RC is mentioning something right now, and it's something that's come up recently, is when you're entering various forums in the 3D printing world, there are not always going to be people that are as kind.
Or user groups.
And yes, there's user groups, Discords, all sorts of things. Not everyone is going to be as kind and patient as people on MakerDeck. We have very kind and patient and understanding people. Just be aware that there are people that are just there to cause trouble. And
just
like RC saying, like, people.
It's gonna be those people in every single community. Every single community is gonna have that type of person. So just move on. Honestly, don't take it too seriously. But yeah, there are some groups that have excessive amounts of people that could be a little bit nicer and a little bit more constructive in their criticism.
But also, when you join things like that, use the search functions. Really use the search function, because in the Facebook group for Focus, someone's like, "What does error 5 mean?" And I'm thinking, I've had error. I think it's error 5, whatever it is. I think it's the heat, the bed's too hot or something like that, or it's overheating, whatever it is. But all you have to do is go into that group and, like, search, and you can find it. So because this is still a community of people that are tinkerers, that are problem solvers, they want you. This is something that I found in my less than a year experience. Actually,
Giveaway
2 days from now.
Closed.
2 days from now will be my 1-year anniversary with 3D printing. So in that year, I found a lot of people, they wanted me to figure out how to solve a problem. So and also there is no one answer, right? Especially when it comes to 3D printing. They can't say, make sure you turn the bed at 60 degrees going to be, at this, and have it print at this speed, and da, da, da. They can give suggestions. You can give people suggestions for printing with silk or printing with Polyterra, or how to slice a model properly, but it's not always going to be ideal for every situation. So people want you to explore that yourself for lots of different reasons, and it's not just trying to give you a hard time. There are times that I do panic, and I call on the Krusties and the Fix'em dudes and the K2s and the Joe Mikes and those people. I'm like, please help me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to explain this. I don't know how to say this. But use your head.
I always recommend at least looking up what your problem might be, or at least, even if you're going to ask someone, get a little bit of knowledge behind it.
Yeah.
Just like, all right, this might be because I'm thinking I have this problem, and it might be this. What do you think? Is better than, hey, help me fix this problem.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Speaking of problems.
3D printing is voodoo. And the other thing is, if you see someone on MakerDeck that's printing with the same printer as you, you could certainly send them a message and find out, or in MakerDeck on Twitch, you can do bang setup, and then it tells you all of their setups and what their what their modifications are and stuff, and that kind of goes along with what we're saying about the mods that you can do to your printer. We'll be talking more about that next week.
Yes, make sure to tune in. So why don't we just do the giveaway real quick, and then we'll close it off?
Yeah.
All right.
I still don't see in all of our likes, though.
Yeah, where's all the likes?
Where's all the likes? Come on, people. Thumbs up. Oh, look at these transitions. Thank you, K2, for making these beautiful transition screens for us.
I think it's this one. Not
That
quite.
has me back. Oh, there we go.
Ah, there we go.
Voila.
Nice and seamless transition. That's all right. All right, so there are at least 8 different firmwares. Can we get a number between 1 and 8 in chat? And I'll shuffle
7.
that amount of times. 7. You can't vote. People are gonna say the number.
People in chat. And also,
Yeah.
K2 is not out for Len. He's ours. You can't have him.
He does a great job.
And Fix Him Dude, you can't have him either. So
Imagine that, a K2 and Fix 'em Dude collab. That'd be insane.
oh my goodness. It would be so very clean and beautiful. I'd love to see them do a model, actually. That would be fun.
Right. Looks
All
like
right.
the answer is going to be 7. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is for a spool of Polymaker PLA, ABS, ASA, or PETG. Globally, if you're in the US or Canada, it's for a voucher for the US or Canadian store. And looks like it's going to be Kieran.
I think we should draw twice.
All right. So, Kieran Clark, are you in chat to claim your prize?
I'm sure Kieran is. Kieran just took the con over on MakerDeck. So
No, those
he
are the
might not
rules.
be- Yeah.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
I doubt we're gonna get Kieran because he just took the
Think so?
con and he's doing zoomies right now. So
There we go. Entered last and won first. Definitely not rigged. All right, awesome.
all
I'll
right.
remove that from the list, and why don't we draw again?
Yeah,
we'll remove
draw
1, so we'll
again.
go 6 shuffles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and good luck.
Oh, Kieran is here, but we're gonna draw twice anyway, because why not?
All right.
Oh,
Bronze Mini RV Life. I like that.
otherwise known as Mud Wars, right?
Ah.
These Mud Wars over on Twitch.
Different people have different names for every single platform.
Yes, Captain
That's you.
Feathersword, Decibel, Kieran. Yes.
Yep.
Mud
yep.
Wars.
Great.
I'm Pezlas everywhere. I've been Pezlas everywhere since 1998. And when were you born, Austin?
Before you. After you.
Before me? Oh, that would be cool.
Definitely after.
Yes. All right.
Sweet. Well, that was a good stream. And again, next time we're going to be talking about some 3D printed tools and such, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Winners of the giveaway, I'll be reaching out either via Discord or email, whichever you have selected. And
thank you everybody for
yeah.
So we will be, like I said, we will be doing coffee talks the next 3 days in a row. Certainly join us at 11 a.m. Eastern over on MakerDeck on Twitch, and MakerDeck is going 24/7 on Twitch all the time. Be sure to share your makes, join our Discord. All those links I'm going to put below here, yeah, stay tuned for next week when we're going to talk about, as we mentioned, tools, accessories, printed parts for improving 3D printing.
All right,
so I will say
a Z and Z show.
Yes. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt, mes amis.
And goodbye.